Let's see, look at that. Let's try that again, shall we? Welcome, 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 everyone. Um, hey, the better man. I see you. I see you. We are discussing why we think it is so hard to form a new habit. So, we're going to go through that process. We're going to go through that process. I did not bring my notebook. Funny how that is. Uh, I hope you brought a notebook because we're going to go through how to do it. Bree, hey, I see you. Hey, Cyber. It's good to see you all. Well, you're listening while gardening. Oh, how apt, honey. How apt. You get that dirt in your hands. Oh, it is nice. It is nice. So let's begin. Yeah. Making a new habit. Polarity always asks you, where are you now? And then you get to say, well, I am here. I'm currently doing this. And okay, well, hello. So polarity is saying, where are you now? What are you doing now? You begin to list what it is you're doing. I am doing whatever it is, whatever the action is that you're doing, name it. Do you know why? Because when you name that thing that you are doing, because it's the problem, but what's the seed of the solution? The solution is do the new thing. And that is how we form a new habit. We form a habit by identifying, by way of polarity, what it is we're currently doing that we deem, oh, this is disastrous for my life. Oh, this is undesirable. Well, you name it. And the reason that you must name it and acknowledge where you are is so that you can see where you would like to be and what action is required. Okay, so the better man, you said you need this. Drop it in the chat if you feel comfortable. You should. Drop it in the chat. What is this new habit that you would like to create? Because you clearly say you have an issue. So name that issue and let's start to break it down step by step. It doesn't matter who you are that you want to share. It's okay. This is, you know as well as I do, this is a safe space. It just is, right? It's how we learn by doing those things. So when you say, oh, but here's my old habit. You know, I don't read very much, and I would like to learn how to read like more than one book in a year. How do I do that? Well, you start off by identifying what the problem was. You feel the need to read more because you want to learn more. Step one. Step two, what topic? You don't just want to read because you can. What topic interests you? And that's where you go and you find the first book. Now, sometimes we can pick up books that are over 800 pages. That can be a little daunting, can't it? But if you say, I want to learn, well, what Bree's doing, she's gardening. I want to learn gardening. But what about gardening do you want to learn? What are you doing in the garden? Well, you're planting roses. Well, you want to learn how roses function. What kind of soil do they need? What kind of food do they need? What are their natural enemies? You want to learn about roses. Because now when you learn about roses, because you're gardening with roses, you don't feel overwhelmed. You don't say, well, I don't know what to do about roses. You don't say that. Why? Because you identified, well, I want to read more. And then you said, well, here's the topics that I like. And that's where we begin. Recognizing it. And what do you like to do? You see, we follow the natural inclination of what we like to do because that is what helps us to stay inspired to continue as we learn. Because let me tell you, there's nothing worse than getting up and saying, I got to learn this today. That sucks, okay? And you are less apt to learn. But if it is pleasurable for you to learn the thing you say you want to learn, well, then nothing can stop you. You know that saying. You can't teach somebody who doesn't want to learn, and you can't stop somebody from learning who wants to. Why? The desire within them. So if you have identified your problem, the seed of the solution is in it. So you say, okay, here's polarity. Here's my problem. And you notice how polarity keeps you in control of the situation. Polarity says, where are you now? What's the problem? And you say, well, here's what I'm currently doing, and I'm dissatisfied with that behavior. Polarity says, well, then where would you like to be? And you notice when polarity says, well, where would you like to be? Polarity is not saying, now, if you hope and pray and wish hard enough, change will happen. Polarity says, no, you got this in the bag. You know what you're doing. Let's apply it. Do you see how the law emboldens you? Do you see how the law inspires you and gives you confidence to make change? Because it clearly tells you, oh, you're dissatisfied over here. What would bring you satisfaction? What thing that you do can bring you satisfaction? You think that thing can bring you satisfaction? Well, what is it? Well, let's start doing it. And then the next week you realize, oh my God, I've changed my life. I've implemented a new habit. Easy as pie. Angela, you say it is easy, but if it's so easy, why is everybody not doing it? Knowledge, comprehension of the situation, and the application. So you need to learn a new way to be and apply that new way day in and day out, because that is where the change will occur, in the consistency. Cyber, I'm trying to train myself to feel a bit of, healthy urgency, dumping procrastination and replacing it with momentum. How can I achieve this in a way that doesn't feel like punishment? You achieve it because the thing that you say you want to do, you want to train yourself to, not procrastinate. The thing that you enjoy doing, you won't procrastinate because you enjoy doing it. You say, well, fine, I got to get up early in the morning. And you're like, snooze, 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes. Then you're late. That meeting that you need to get to, do you care about that meeting? I told you that this morning. Do you care about the meeting? Is it worthwhile to you? You see, we don't do things, like chores. Your chores. You do your chores. Why do you do your chores? Because you don't want to smell bad. You don't want the house to smell bad. So you bathe, you brush your teeth, you clean your face. These things must be done. Why? Because you care about the package that you are in. This is why, if you want to stop procrastinating, where is the care in the thing you're doing that you want to do? Because we don't just get up and say, fine, I'll do this because I have to. You don't want it to feel like punishment. You want it to be a joy. So why do you do it? This is the care. This is the caring portion. The part that says to you, you know what? I really enjoy my own company. I like smelling nice. I like looking pretty. So I will put in that time. And you start to streamline yourself so that you don't have to spend 3 hours trying to get all gussied up to look pretty. Do you hear what I'm saying? You recognize that you want to stop procrastinating. Where are you procrastinating? That is step 2. Because it is not enough to say, I don't want to procrastinate anymore. That's an umbrella. Where is the thing that you say, I don't want to procrastinate in this area? So then what would you like to do instead? So when you do that instead, you stop procrastinating, but you must name what it is that you are procrastinating in. Because when you say, well, I really have a hard time with keeping it tidy, keeping things tidy. Well, that means when you touch something, For instance, you bring in the mail and it's junk mail. Well, don't bring in the junk mail. They should have something, a garbage receptacle by the mail, so you can toss the junk mail in there. So only the pertinent things come inside the house. Now, once you've paid that bill online, I have a box that's for shredding. It says shredding on it. So I just put that thing in the box because I'm done with it. Now, when that box is full, I pick it up and I take it down to the shredders. Ta-da! Right? So if you say, well, I take all these things out of the laundry and they're warm, but oh God, I just can't be bothered to fold. Do you like to iron? Because I sure don't. So I fold them when they come out because they're not wrinkly. I fold them when they come out. Plus they're warm and they're nice, you know, and they smell fresh. So you fold them and you put them where they belong, because at the end of the folding, you get a sensation that says, oh, I don't have to do it later because it's done. So if you say, oh, the dishes. I'll tell you something that made me laugh the other day. I said to myself, I'm so tired of doing dishes. Somebody said to me, sounds like you need a woman in the house. Sounds like you need to get yourself a woman to do the dishes. And I had to laugh at that. Because now when I look at the dishes and I do them, you know, I just get them done, because nothing is worse than stinky dishes in the sink. Come on, man. Don't do that. Have a care. Oh, there's a Facebook user here. Well, hello. I see you. Tell me who you are, because I can't see who you are. But does that make sense? When you start the action, complete it. For instance, you don't drive halfway to the grocery store and park and say, I can't anymore. No, you go to the grocery store and you follow through with purchasing what's on your grocery list. You pay for it, you come back, you put them away. The process is complete. You do not have to put yourself in a position to say, I'll get to it. It's always the get to it. Perhaps what we practice doing is saying, when I start this task, I'll finish it. If I'm interrupted, I will complete it anyway. This is why you don't go out if you say your bedtime is 10 p.m. Don't leave the house at 9:30. You're going to interrupt your bedtime. So you schedule everything around where you say you will be what? Productive, and you follow through. It is, you see, cyber punishment only feels like punishment. It's not fact. It only feels that way. Listen, I schedule everything around my bed. Do you know why? My bed is my favorite place to be. I like to relax there. I chill out. I take a load off. That's my safe place. That's my fun place. You know? So I get, when I get up and I plan and I do things, I make sure that everything is done, because when I lay down and I pick up that book to read, don't call me. Don't call me. Why? Because I care about the laying down. I care about the break. So I do what I need to get done so that I'm productive, so that when I lay down, I'm done. So you see, it is just a matter. Punishment feels, but it is not fact. It isn't fact. What should drive you is you don't want critters in the house, you know, bugs and the like. Nobody likes them in the house. So then don't create causes that bring about the effect of bugs. So you see, cyber, we never have to punish ourselves. Name it. So when you say procrastination, what are you procrastinating? What are you putting off? That is the question to answer. What are you putting off? My father taught me, why put off for tomorrow what you can do today? He lives by that. If he says, well, I got to get this done, he says, I'm out now, let's go get her done. And he goes and he does it. Because when he goes home, he's not going to want to leave to come back. You see, my dad works real hard. So when you're out and about, do what needs to be done. You do it. So, cyber, answer that question for yourself. What is the thing that you are putting off? Name that thing, because now you get to develop and say, all right, what makes me procrastinate for that thing? Why don't I want to do that thing? What's associated with that thing that I just, oh, I don't like it? And then you discover that thing when you answer the question for yourself and you say, oh, that's why I don't want to do it. Only because of the way you feel about it. The way you feel about it is what will cause you to act or not. So how do you get yourself over that hump to feel good about it? When it's done and you can throw confetti. Doesn't that feel good? Just the thought of holy macaroni, when it's done, it is done and I can move on. It feels good. Allow that to help pull you through where you are. Does that make sense? Let me know, Cyber, if that answered your question. Are there any more questions that you have? Let me see. Do you want to come up here with me and ask your question? Oh, let me see if I can get that link and post it in there. Bear with me. Let me see if I can get the link. I can't get it from there. Let me see. Invite, copy, close. Now, can I even comment in here? I don't know how to do it from in here on my phone. Okay. I'm a music producer. My passion feels like a chore every now and then. I have no idea why this happens. Trying to figure out what could be behind it. Resenting the process in a way. I understand, Cyber. So which part of the process? Is it the writing or is it the bringing together of the people's things? Are you finding that you have to wait for other people so that you can finish what you're doing? Or putting that stuff together feels like a chore every now and then? Do you have money attached to that? Just out of curiosity. Just out of curiosity. Do you have money attached to that process? Because I've found that when we do things like, for instance, I narrate, right? And so that's predominantly how I pay my bills, by narrations. So if I find that I say to myself, ooh, I only have 3 projects in the roster, I got to get more projects in there. You begin to worry. And then you say, oh, because sometimes that's what I do. I say, well, you know, I really don't want to get this done right now. You know, it can wait. Because I find sometimes that when we put money to things, it's the way we feel about money, or, you know, the way you feel about money can taint it in a way. But again, that's only a thought. The thing that you do, what is it that you can share with others through the production of your music? I know Mozinga also does music. I mean, he plays the drums and he's in the pocket, you know, and he hits that rim shot or the snare or the tom. Yeah, look at how many times you have to practice. You know, like how many times do you have to practice that same, for guitarists, the beat, it's the rhythm. How many times? Yes, it can feel tedious to put all those things together. It can feel tedious, but at the end of the day, the beautiful music that you create, yeah, it's meant for you, but you get to share it and you take pleasure in the sharing. That taking pleasure in the sharing, what you were inspired to do, takes away that resentment, if you will. It keeps you excited. Also, what can influence the resentment is not enough sleep. When you're tired, you don't want to do anything. When the mind is everywhere, you don't want to do anything. So this is why all of those things play a part in what we do to express ourselves. So if you find that you're tired or chronic fatigue, if you find that you're dealing with things like chronic fatigue, you don't want to get out of bed, not because you're lazy, but because mentally you're exhausted. So if you are mentally exhausted, then physically you won't have the get up and go. So now you're, oh God, I got to do this again. Then you have to examine all the contributing factors that could have brought about that effect. And then you say something like, but Angela, that just takes too much time. I'm too tired to do that too. If you find that you're too tired, take a break. Take a break. Because sometimes that fatigue, that overwhelm, of course, it will suck the pleasure and the life out of the thing that you say you enjoy and what your passion is. Cyber, does that answer your question? If not, elaborate so I can elaborate more. Because I do understand. I do understand definitely what we go through. I'm just trying to figure out how to put, how to share a comment, because I've never shared a comment from my phone before, so that I could put the link in there. Invite. Copy. I can't figure out how to share it. I want to. Don't know how to do it other than it'll come to me. But does that make sense, Cyber? Are there any more questions regarding that? How you can implement that step? I know the Better Man is here as well. Let me know what is making sense and what is not making sense, so I can break it down some more. You're welcome, Cyber. But that's what I've found. If we identify what the problem is, if you say, oh, I'm tired all the time. Now, is it that you're bored? You see, all of these things play a part in your expression of yourself. Well, believe me, because I know a year ago, I couldn't even drag my body out of bed, like physically, right? Cyber says, perhaps a feeling that I'm not being compensated fairly for my efforts. Angrily shaking my fist at God. I suppose I should detach those two things, seeing it as fun again instead of a grind. You see, the minute we look through the lens of money, so the way you feel about money, now, you need to know something. The boundary is, what is your price? The boundary is, what is your price? I did not ask you if you were deserving of your price. That is irrelevant. The price is the price. When you go to the gas station, are they deserving of the $1.45 per liter? Probably not. Are they deserving the carbon tax? Probably not, but you've got to pay it. So adopt the same attitude. What is your price for your service? And you do not deviate from it, because you know what it takes for you to perform your task. So if you compromise and say, well, you know, I really need this money, so half a loaf of bread is better than no bread at all, so I'll do that. What are you saying to yourself? What are you programming yourself to believe about you? You're saying to yourself, you know what? I might think I'm worth this, but clearly I'm not, because if I was worth it, I would get it. Listen, you get what you ask for. You say, this is my rate. Here's my body of work. Hey, even if you were starting out, it's irrelevant. You still have to go through school to learn how to do it. You still have to be apprenticed to learn how to do it. You do not compromise your fee. That's your first boundary. But what if they judge me, Angela? What if they compare me to somebody else? What if they compare you to somebody else? That's not on you. That's on them. As within, so without. But then that must mean you are comparing yourself to somebody else. Listen, I'm not Timberland. I'm not Timberland. But that does not mean that the work I produce is less than his. He produces from where he is. You produce from where you are. And so when you produce from where you are, you also have to ask for your fee from where you are. So let me ask this question. When you go out and you do your work and you produce your music, where are you producing that music from? What's the point of putting my all into it when I don't get all I'm worth? Where are you producing your music from? Because that attitude of where you produce your music from will influence what you ask to be paid. I'm saying this because I narrate books. And believe me, I had to set my price. Oh, shoot. Oh, yes, I did. Did I always start out that way? No. But this is why I no longer do royalty share. I don't do royalty share anymore. You know why I don't do royalty share? Because my time is valuable. You know what royalty share means? I'm going to do all the work up front for you and give you your project. And if it sells, I make money. Wait, what now? No, thank you. So no, I don't do royalty share. I may consider a royalty share plus, which means you pay me a portion and then I make some of your sales. That's how I roll now. It took me a while to get there. Why? Because I didn't want to be rejected because people thought my fee was too much. Wherever you create from is what will influence the fee that you charge. I'm not just talking to you. Choir. Yes, you have to go within to create. You do. And so now, here's also how I choose the books that I want to narrate. They have to be in alignment with what I do. You know, inspirational books. Motivational, you know, a memoir, somebody who overcame something. That's how I choose the books. Oh, there's plenty of books out there. Oh, but Angela, will that narrow your niche? Of course, it narrows it. But do you know why? The more narrow the focus, the better I can be. The narrower the focus, the better you can be, because you excel at what that niche is. You excel at it. And of course, if something else piques your curiosity, now you look at it and you say, does that move me? You have to care about the project you do. So yes, Cyber, am I suggesting that you create from a state of being wildly successful? Yes. Do you know why? As this morning, what did we say? What did we say this morning? You are already successful. So long as you have the image in your mind, you are what that image is. So if the image in your mind is you're naming lights, you know, people are calling you, your phone is ringing off the hook. But now that's just the effect. What's the cause? You got to get up every morning and put your all into the music that you do. Because people who are wildly successful are wildly sought after, which means you're going to have to schedule your rest. You will have to schedule your holidays because you are busy, but not just busy doing any old willy-nilly thing. You're busy doing what you love. So then you say you're wildly successful. Well, that means you've got to be organized. As Daddy always said, you better be organized so you can be recognized. You don't practice your organization after you become successful. Practice it now, because when that stuff comes in, you know how to move, you know how to behave, you know how to act, you know how to get it done. That's why you behave as if you are already wildly successful. There's so much power in the thought of being picky. Oh, the nerve of him. Ah, Cyber, yes, you must be picky. It's a boundary. You can't be lax on your boundaries. So if you say this, I will work with this type of artist. Work with that type of artist. And if somebody says, hey, I heard about you and here's the kind of music I do. Now you can say, well, these are the types of projects I work on, and your project doesn't quite fit the format. Oh, the nerve. Yes, you can refuse something if it does not line up with you. Do you know why you refuse something that doesn't line up with you? Because you are not walking and living from a state of desperation, meaning I'll take what I can get. Well, if you have the attitude of I'll take what I can get, well, then take what you can get. Think about who's going to be throwing things at you then. You don't just take what you can get. You command what it is you want to create in life. This is how you choose your clientele. Does that make sense today? I'll take a sip of water and you can tell me if it makes sense. Connie, yes, you do have to go within. I may have said cyber because there's both C's are there. But does that make sense? All from where you see yourself is how you will live. If you have a student in a classroom who lives in an environment of constantly being criticized at home, what kind of a student do you think they will be? They will expect to be criticized at school, and thus they will always be criticized. Oh, and how do you know? They'll get C's and D's and E's and F's because they feel inadequate. They feel like they don't measure up. They can't meet the standard. And because they feel that way about themselves, remember, that is the image in their subconscious mind that they recreate all of their experiences from. Not because they don't know, not because they're lazy, not because they're dumb, but because of what they believe, what they imagine. What they imagine. And how did it get there? Well, chances are if you're living in a house where you're constantly being insulted and criticized, well, that's going to be an instant impression upon your subconscious mind. Because how do we do that? With a strong emotion over and over again. So that's where they live from. So that's how you build your client base. Cyber, you're saying such a breakthrough moment for me. Apply, Cyber. Apply. Yes, that's why you got this. Listen, my philosophy is this. If you comprehend how things work, you will be much more successful at it because you're more focused now. Just like I said with Bree, she's out in the garden. If you're planting roses, you want to learn as much about roses as you possibly can. Why? Because you want your rose garden to do what? Thrive. So if you want to be a narrator, find a story that inspires you to tell it. Learn about narration. Do you hear what I'm saying to you today? This is why we think it is so hard to form a new habit. Because we don't consciously create habits, do we? Well, now we do. But back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. I digress. Back in the day, we created habits unwittingly. You know, some habits are beneficial. The way you tie your shoes, that's beneficial. Reading, writing, arithmetic, hey, that's beneficial too. But the habit of hearing, you're just like your daddy, you won't be any better. When we hear nonsense like that, they form habits too. They do. That's what it is. So the desire now to change is simply know what it is you are doing. Know how change happens and apply it to your life so that you can be successful at it. We don't just go flying around in the dark. The light of the law illuminates the darkest of spaces. And when it illuminates the darkest of spaces, you can see what you need to do. And not only can you see what you need to do, the light makes you confident. How does the light make you confident? Because you know where everything is and you won't hit your toes. You won't be tentative. This is what the law causes us to do on a daily basis. So today, you want to make a new habit? What is the old one? Cause and effect. You can't just say, I want to make a new one. What are you replacing? You need to know what you want to replace. Connie, I know I tend to be a little bit dramatic, but that is all for your benefit, I suppose. I've always been dramatic as far back as I can remember. Why? Because a strong emotion impresses the subconscious mind. That's why. So the drama of it all that makes you clutch your pearls and go, oh, she's crazy. What did she say? And you remember what I said. And then what do? Apply it and you change your life. So you see, I had to let go of hearing that. Oh, you're so dramatic. Such a drama queen. I used to see it as a weakness. But then I understood what my purpose was. Then it made sense why I was dramatic. So you see, all these things that we have learned in the past, look at them and examine them. Can they help you? If they can help you, then keep using them. But if they don't help you, find a new one and do that every day and have that become your stepping stone instead of the old behavior becoming a stumbling block. If you learned how to read people way back in the day, can that help you now? Well, then continue to use it. Don't hate where you've come from. Why not? Because polarity says to you, where are you now? And where would you like to be? Polarity doesn't ask you, do you hate it here? No, the reason why polarity wants you to ascertain where you are, you get a feeling. You're like, oh, this stings a little. I don't want to be there. You don't judge it. You look at it and you say, oh, well, then instead of this, I will do that. That is what helps you. That is what helps you to use the things you've learned in the past. Romans 8:28 tells you, hey, all things work together for good for those that love the Lord. What's the Lord? The law. So all the things that looked like they were going to break you, there's a skill in there that you learned somewhere. Perhaps you say, well, I was lied to. I was abandoned so much. I can't trust people. Oh? Then develop your intuition so that you don't have to figure out who to trust. You tune in to your intuition so you know who to trust. So you don't use your abandonment, you don't use your neglect to beat yourself now. No, you use it and you say, hey, I learned something from back there. I learned how to recognize whatever that thing is. Okay, I like that skill. I'm going to use that skill. So now you actually, when you look at the abandonment or the neglect, it removes the sting. It stops you from asking, why wasn't I loved? Why wasn't I appreciated? Because when you go back and you sit there and you ask that question, if that is where you are, if that's where you are polarized, if that's what you're looking at, energy flows where attention goes. If that's what you're looking at, what will you recreate? As per law. If you are looking at abandonment, if you're looking at neglect because you want to heal it, what are you going to do? Recreate it. So what do you do instead? You recognize what happened. You acknowledge what happened. And then you recognize that, hey, that wasn't me. That was projected onto me. How do you know it was projected onto you? It came from the mouth and the mind of someone else. That's how come you got to experience it, because they spoke it. Because as children, we don't discern quite yet. So we are influenced by our primary caregivers. So out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if you struggled and dealt with those things from that person, well, that was them, not you. But because of them, you learned how to do something. Indeed. This is why if you look back through our life stories, this word we like to throw about so much, a narcissist. How did a narcissist become a narcissist? They had to learn what? They had to learn how to use everything to work in their favor. They had to learn the art and the skill of mental transmutation. They had to be able to get into your mind, so they had to see you. They have the ability to spot a weakness and exploit it. You know why they have that ability? Because they were once weak and they were exploited. So the thing that they learned, instead of using it to become their strength, they have now exacerbated it, and it is a weakness. So you don't look back and judge. You look back and you learn. Look back and learn. What did you learn from your situation? Because if you look at what you learned from your situation and then you ask, okay, how can I use this to benefit me in a positive way that benefits others, mutually beneficial? Well, then start to use it in a mutually beneficial way. But if you look back and you say, well, I was taken advantage of and I don't want to ever be a victim again, so I will victimize before I am. That's how you want to live your life? What? You learned how to do it. So if you learned how to do one thing, you can learn how to do something else. Oh, you sure can. You don't have to remain the same. The law tells you that. Every cause has an effect. What does the law also tell you? Everything changes. The law of vibration, everything moves, cannot remain the same. There's an ebb and there's a flow. So this is why when we look back at our lives and we say, oh, but that habit has been with me so long. Yes, it has. You developed that habit to make yourself successful, because that's the nature of a habit, to make one successful. This is why it's imperative to make the habit consciously, because then you know what you're doing and you're not just running on autopilot. Oh, I did it. Why'd you do it? I don't know. I did it because I've always done it that way. You want to do it because you've always done it that way? Or do you want to do it because you said you were going to do it? Which one of those things has the power in it? I don't know. I did it because I've always done it this way. Or, well, I did it because I chose to do it. I looked at the situation and I said, this situation needs a sprinkle of something else. And so you do it. Make sense? Connie. Oh, well, thank you, Connie. You have to practice it every day. You just practice it every day. Don't worry about how far you can go. You know you're going far. Do you know why? Because the law of vibration tells you everything moves. And you are moving. So if you say, I'm moving in this direction, well, keep going in that direction because you know the destination. Success. But if you say, I'm scared, I don't want to, well, that means you're not staying the same. You're just continuing to do the thing you've always done, thereby getting the same result you've always gotten. So there comes a time when you have to look in the mirror and assess, not judge. Hello, not judge. Assess. Assess your reflection. What are your reflections? Not just the face in the mirror, but the actions that you do in the world. Are you happy with those? And if they don't, add to your happiness, if they've got you rocking in the corner, that's not where you want to be. So you look at it and you say, well, that's unsatisfactory. You name the unsatisfactory behavior or experience, and you say to yourself, I'd like to experience this thing instead. I deem this thing satisfactory, so I want to experience that. So what kind of behavior do I need to do? Well, behaviors that make that experience satisfactory. And once you listed those behaviors, write them down and get up and do them every single day. And then voila, 21 days, you've got a new habit. 90 days, oh shoot, you've got a new lifestyle. But here's something. You can actually, this is why emotions are important. They're not just feedback, they're bits of energy that you can use to speed up change. Because remember, to program the subconscious mind, you tell it to do the same thing over and over and over again, and you do the action over and over until it takes root. But to impress the subconscious mind, you need a picture. And, we bring up pictures that make us feel a particular way. So when you get that feeling, I got a feeling. Yeah, you get that feeling. Now, that's what you can impress the subconscious mind with. So if I say to you, well, Angela, the law is neither friend nor foe. It just is. It is neither friend nor foe. Yes? If I say it to you like that, and I say to you, one of my favorite people is Catwoman. Eartha Kitt. I've now left you with an impression. Whether you think I'm nuts or whatever you think of me, you'll remember Catwoman. And you now have an image of Catwoman, do you not? The black spandex, the ears, and the mask, do you not? How'd that image of Catwoman get there? You also know who your least favorite Catwoman is, because they left an impression on your subconscious mind. So every time you think of Catwoman, you think, oh my God, she was the worst Catwoman. Impressions are everything, because that is where you create from. The impressions. Oh, you doubt me, do you? We'll go to the printer. What is he printing from? Oh, you don't have that old-fashioned little plates they used to have? Well, that was an impression. What do you think a branding iron is? An impression. You brand your cattle, which is cruel. But you brand them, so if they run away and somebody sees the brand, they know who it belongs to. Why? Because that impression tells you who it belongs to. So you see, everything is from an impression, because the universe is a mental creation. What happens mentally? Images happen mentally. Whether you use the sense of smell to conjure the image is irrelevant. Whether you use the sense of taste. Doesn't matter what you use, what sense. You've got 5 of them. Doesn't matter which one you use to conjure up the image. Pick one of them and go with it. But always remember, at the end of the day, it is the image. So the behaviors that we do are affirming the image in your mind. This is what habits are. The behavior that you do is affirming the image you hold of yourself. So we're going to touch on doubt, because I think that's important. We're going to touch on it. When you doubt something, it means you already have an image. You already have an image. That's why you doubt the new one, because the old one is already there. And you say, no, this is what I believe. This right here, not this. That is what doubt is. So how do you get rid of the doubt? The image that you want, the thing you want to experience, you now have to impress that image in your subconscious mind. That's the image you have to impress there, not the old one. So how do you impress the subconscious mind? Now that you know it, which is a strong emotion and repetition. So you do the actions that confirm the image you hold in your head. You're wildly successful? Well, you better get that schedule together. You better get your rate set. You better make sure your Rolodex is up to date. You don't want to call somebody and hear, the party you're trying to reach is currently unavailable. Right? K-Frame, I see you. Connie, what do you mean? So that's who I am, who? Eartha Kitt? Now, she's always been one of my favorite people. I see you, K-Frame. But does that make sense today for you? Because it is, listen, when you see how simple it is, you will drop all of that hard work that you've been doing. When you see how easy it is, you'll drop the hard work. But you got to practice that. You got to practice. Use all of your available skills for your betterment. Use all of your skills for your betterment. You see, when you get better, which means when you see yourself in the best way possible, Neville Goddard always tells you, see yourself in the best light. That way, you'll be able to see other people in their best light, right? Because as within, so without, it is law. So when you see yourself at that high level, right? You live from there. You expect good things. You speak good things into other people, right? This is how we roll according to law all day, every day. So step 1, identify the old habit. Once you've identified the old habit, you write down all the things that you do in there that say that that's the old habit. You know why you write them down? Well, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. Okay, so if you say you complain a lot, I complain too much. What do you want to do instead? Give praise. Find the good things. So you don't want to complain. You want to find the good things so you can speak them. This is why you write them down. Because in the writing it, you are plucking it out of your subconscious mind. You're saying, hey, this is what's in here. And now that that's there and it's on the page, what are you going to input instead? Well, I want to find the good things. I want to find compliments instead. When I want to teach somebody something, I want to say it to them in the best way possible that they'll be inspired to learn and grow. Because that's what my grandfather did for me. And I know how good it felt to not be criticized. Cyber says, I've never thought about impressions that way. Those two branding marks overlapping each other would make an unintelligible image. You have to get rid of the original impression. But of course, they have to correspond, as within, so without. So if you've got the old and the new here, you get distortion. That's why you have to lay that new neural pathway in the brain by doing the new action and creating the new habit. Yes, Cyber, beautifully said. That's right, Connie. You say, well, I won't complain. What do you want to do instead? Because cause and effect, remember? If you say, I won't complain, what do you want to do instead? That's the behavior you begin to do, and you affirm. That's why you must know. This is why polarity always I can't believe I'm clapping. Listen, polarity tells you, where are you now? You have to accept where it is that you are. Not accept it as in your lot in life, but accept it to say, oh, this is where I'm at. And I don't like it there. What do you want to say? I won't complain. So what are you going to do instead of complain? You'll compliment. So now you begin to practice complimenting. But you have to start within. You compliment you first. Oh, wow, Connie, you did that. Oh, look, you got up on time. You got everything done. You got all your chores done. Good for you. And you throw the confetti and you compliment. That's where you start. Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So that when you go out into the world, you don't complain, you compliment. And even if you have to say something to someone, you know, when you're teaching children, you'll say to them, hey, try this instead. See if that makes a difference. Because remember, you're not complaining. Oh my God, you never listen to me. Why? No. You say, hey, I noticed you did this. How about we try this instead? Do this action instead. See how that makes you feel. See? Yes, you'll go forward by doing what? You see, polarity causes you to become specific, so the image is more clear. So if you say, I will create, what will you create? Name that thing. I create ... Name it. Because the more specific you are, the more clear the image, the faster you can experience it, because there's no distortion. And when you put that image on top of the glass of the photocopier and hit copy, what comes out? The image that you put there. Nice, crisp, and clear. You choose to be positive, but of course, positive where? Positive in your thinking, positive in your actions, positive in your words. Where do you choose to be positive? Be specific. That is what polarity causes us to become specific, so that the image we create is clear. Yes, I will create that which is inside of me that gives positive vibes. Okay, break it down some more. How much more focused can you become? Positive in all things I do, say, and feel. Break it down some more. Break it down some more. Where? How? What action? Because if I look at you, Connie, if I'm outside of the TV, forgive me, my daddy just called. Let me peek outside. Hold on, y'all. I don't see his truck. That's my daddy. He'll just call you. Say, I'm outside. That's who he is. So when you say you want to be positive in all things that you do, say, and feel, what kinds of things do you want to do? Because remember, positive is an umbrella. So then you are specific by way of the law of polarity. Now you know exactly what you're doing, because you will know a man by his habits, Alan Watts. So again, if I was out with you, Connie, and I saw you do something that you didn't know you did it, because you do it all the time on autopilot, right? You will know someone by their actions. So what action can you do that is so clear and so precise? That is what polarity causes us to do. Landon. I see you, Landon. You're learning so much about you. What? Of course. There's only you. There's none but the self. Right? There's a whole bunch of selves. And if each self would assess and change, can you imagine what we'd be? Yes, Connie, I'm gonna pick on you today. In a good way, though. Remember Yoda? Do or do not, there's no try. Eh? That's why the word practice. We do it and we do it and we do it and we do it until we become real. You see, when you say, well, I'm practicing this, you practice with the expectation of becoming better at it. But when you try, you say, well, I could hit or miss. I don't know. Does that make sense? Lord, I swear that's my daddy. Hang on. Ugh. I don't see. I know he'll call me. But practice, Connie. That's exactly it. Because, listen, when we practice, there is an association already developed. When we try, there's also an association developed. Because when you say, well, I'm practicing this thing, you go to a doctor, like we were in clinic for our practicum. We practiced every day. Why? Because so you can make needling, you could become better at needling, acupuncture. So you can become better at cupping. So you can become better at herbs. So that's why you practice, because there's the expectation of success and being better. But trying, that is associated with, well, I've never done this before. I don't know how it's going to turn out. So I'll give it my best shot. Hit me with your best shot. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So we don't try. The law does not call us to try. The law does not try to do a single thing. The law does it. So that's what we get to do. We get to do it and do it. Do it well. Hello, Cool J. Bree, yes, you practice it and practice it and practice it so much that it has to manifest at will. Do you know what? Because that is the image that is in your subconscious mind that you recreate from. It's like tying your shoes. You don't have to learn to tie your shoes when you put them on. You've practiced that from way back then. So you get up now, you just, listen, you shut your eyes and you tie your shoes. That's what it means, because that is the image that has been impressed in your subconscious mind. Oh, look, we're shoe tying. And you bring up the actions that manifest, you tie that bow, those bunny ears. Hear what I'm saying to you today. This is what it is. This is how we do it day in and day out. Yes, Connie, that's why you're here today, because there aren't any coincidences. There are no coincidences, Miss Connie. You called cause and effect. Cause and effect. You were looking, thus you found. I was looking, thus I found. So you see, this is where we're at. So we practice. How do we make the new habit? Step 1. Recognize and name the old habit. But what if you don't know where that old habit is? Here's your clue. Why did I do that? Why do I make the same mistake every time? Why? Why does this always happen to me? That's your clue that you are doing a habit that clearly you're dissatisfied with. So recognize that, and then you name it by way of polarity. Get out your pen and paper and you write down where you are now and the things that you're doing now, where you would like to be and the things you'd like to do. I knew it was my daddy. I knew it was my daddy. One moment, please. Let me go let my daddy in. I haven't gone anywhere. Ah, thank you for your patience. I just went and unlocked the door for my papa. um, this is what it is, yeah? So we'll close with this. Step 1, recognize and name where you are and what you are doing. We cannot sweep these things under the rug. But you know why we'll stop sweeping them under the rug? Because we're not judging them. They're nothing to be ashamed of. They're simply habits that you've learned over time and practiced. So recognize it, name it, and those actions that you're doing that you deem undesirable. And then you write down what you would like to do instead. What actions would you like to do instead? And then now you know what to do when you get up in the morning, because you've just made it very clear of what you need to do. You see, this is why Neville Goddard, when he says to you to put on the new man, what he's telling you to do is to do the actions of who you say you are. And you do those actions and you do those actions until you have to stop thinking about those actions and you just do them because, like, you're breathing, right? They become second nature to you. So this is what we do. Step 1, recognize and name the thing you deem undesirable. And if you don't know where that is, you will say to yourself, why do I always do that? Why does this always happen to me? Why do I keep making the same mistake? That's what you'll say. That's your cue to recognize your habit and the actions you no longer want to do. And then you share the new habits of what you want to do instead, and you begin to do those actions. So you see, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. Oh, where's that impression now, hey? So now you will practice it because you know what you're doing. And because you know what you're doing, you're confident. You're confident now. And so you do. Does that make sense? I trust that it does. Yes, Connie, reaffirm. You never have to stay in a position that you deem undesirable. Polarity tells you, where are you now? Where do you want to be? Everything moves. And so I'll say this then, because I'm going to plug it. June the 6th, we are starting law school. There, if you click on the link in the description in my LINKTREE and sign up for law school, what's going to happen at law school? We are going to learn the laws. What are the laws? Mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. Correspondence. As within, so without. As above, so below. Vibration. Everything vibrates between two poles. Polarity. a swing to and fro, creating a rhythm, an ebb and a flow. Causation, every cause has its effect and every effect its cause. Gender, a projection of the will, masculine, giving life, giving form. Feminine, that's what we do all day, every day. So we'll be learning that, and that link will take you to my Patreon, and it's tier 2, law school. So the whole point of this, when you learn the laws, in the description below, go purchase the KYBALION, because that's the book we'll be reading from. I will also upload the audio for you, for those who want to read and follow along. But you have to read it, and once you read it, take notes. And once you've taken your notes, you will have questions. And we will do the live stream for all of the students to answer the questions so you can better apply the law, so that you, because the law demands that you be your own guru. Of course it does. The law doesn't want anything to rule over you. That's why the law made you sovereign. So in order to be sovereign, well, you got to learn the law first. And the law is everywhere. So, yes, my dear, beautiful Connie, the all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. Everything starts in the mind. In the mind is where it starts. Did my thingy just freeze there for a minute? That's okay. Well, you also know that you can click that link in my bio. I get so excited I have to slow my words down. I feel like I forget the name of the girl in the sitcom we used to watch where she talks so fast. I think that was Full House, wasn't it? I could be wrong, but I digress. Anyway, you know where to find me. If you want to send me an email, feel free to do so. Click the link in my bio. You can DM me on any of those platforms, or you can send me an email. And remember to sign up for law school. And I do offer one-on-one coaching if you so desire. That link is also in my link tree below in the description. And with that, I thank you for being here this lovely Wednesday afternoon, spending this time with me and learning. Because what does Confucius say? When one teaches to learn, hey, right? Anywho, I do love you, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for morning inspiration. Much love to you all.